So here we go, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Kings of Anglia Fan Social, the show where the KOA Army share their thoughts on all things town. And this is your main helping of KOA ahead of the Peterborough game. Hope you enjoy as ever. Thanks for tuning in. And of course, get involved in future shows if you fancy. Contact me at Ross Media UK on Twitter and all the other socials. This week I'm joined by Peachy and Harvey as we discuss all things town. Of course, we are proudly sponsored by Ginger Pickle, the goats of marketing, and also Manscaped. Use the code KOA. You get 20% off and free delivery for your crown jewels and all that bits and bobs. I've actually realised I'm getting a bit hairy nose, so I may have to look into getting some hair, nose trimmers soon. But anyway, enough of that shambolic intro. Let's get into Peachy and Harvey. Always a pleasure, boys. Peachy, first of all, how's things?
Yeah, all good. I need to start this podcast by I've had a call from Health and Safety after what's happened in the last few pods, or the last pod. Is there any naked flames near you chaps? No, are we all good?
We're all good. Yeah, I had a little health and safety audit prior to coming on, and I passed with flying colours, so we're all good.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shameless plug for a certain candle made by Mr. Watson, but we'll let that lie. Yeah, I'm all good, thanks, mate. It's bloody cold. It's quite warm in my study, but it's absolutely freezing outside. I'm looking forward to a lovely warm chat with you guys about all things ITFC, and I can't wait to get going.
Yes, mate. Hopefully, people who are listening, if you're on a dog walk, hopefully this keeps you warm ahead of the Peterborough game and just your walk, pretty much. Harvey, it's always a pleasure. You were back at Portland Road last week. How was that? Tell us all.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. First of all, it's been a while. I'm joining you in a different setting this week. As Peachy mentioned before we came on, we've got a lovely Ipswich stop in the background, and we've also got some wallpaper that wasn't my doing. Not long moved into this house, so this is going to get redone pretty shortly. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Really enjoyed being back at Portland Road. Was fortunate enough to be in the Bobby Robson suite. I've not experienced that before. Very much a traditionalist, and I like to be kind of in the thick of it, but something different, and I really, really enjoyed it. The hosting team that kind of made the whole night were brilliant. Managed to meet a few of the players as well. Had a good few conversations with them. Leif Davies wears a very nice aftershave. Still kind of reminiscing about that. God knows how much that cost him. But yeah, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Other than the last minute equaliser, which I said at the time I didn't have any complaints about. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit in due course, maybe. But no complaints about the result, really. I thought they deserved it. Second half, I thought they were all over us, to be fair. Certainly in midfield, it's the first time, really, I've seen Sam Morsey get overrun, apart from maybe certain parts of the Hillsborough game. I thought Scott Brown got his tactics and game plan pretty much spot on, whether you like it or dislike it. Some of the, lack of gamesmanship, I should say, from the Fleetwood team was interesting, but they've got to do what they've got to do, and we have to be better. But in terms of the experience, it was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. They feed you a lot there. That's what I will. That's what I will say. I felt like every time I stood up, turned around and sat down again, there was something different on the table. So I dread to think the amount of calories I had that night, but it was worth it. It was really good. I definitely recommend it. I'd love to do it again, at some point. But yeah, it was just brilliant being back, and I think that's only my second night game at Portland Road, so it's something I've not experienced often at all, really. And it was brilliant. I went up to the club shop before we went in, and that view never ever gets old. Looking over the club shop onto the stadium, it's just genuinely gives me like goosebumps every time. So yeah, it was amazing. Already looking forward to getting back to Portland Road. Hoping to get back maybe one more time this season, possibly. So yeah, all in all, a really good experience.
That's good to hear. For people who don't know, Harvey, listeners, viewers, you're based, of course, in Wales. So what is the journey in terms of hours? Of course, you stayed over, but it's a bit of a long journey, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I did it in one day. Thankfully, I wasn't driving in August when we drove. Me and Adam, who's another big Ipswich fan from where I am. He drove, thankfully, that day. That was in one day, which was interesting. But I think it takes about 5.5 hours on a good day. On a not so good day, it can take you well over 6 easily. Yeah. So yeah, it took us about 5.5, 6 hours to get there with a stop off, which wasn't too bad, to be fair. The A14 was kind. But yeah, it's a hell of a journey, but it's so worth it when you see the stadium and when you get into the pre-match. And it's really weird. We were walking around the town, and I say to my dad every time, it's really weird seeing different. Like I saw a few things, like I think I saw outside a church or something that said like a big plaque that said like "Follow the Town" and that kind of jazz, which obviously I'm just not used to seeing at all around here. So I was like a tourist. Every kind of town thing that was there, I was like taking pictures here, there, and everywhere. But no, it was really good to be back. And I met Harvey Wardley as well, which is really good.
Yeah, good old Fab. Of course, congratulations to him, of course, winning his title fight. But yeah, big shout out to all our long travelling town fans, because I know there's a lot of who some I think I've seen some people come from France even on the day, and some people do some unbelievable journeys. So big shout out to everyone who do that. Well, Peachy, let's talk about Kieran McKenna now. 50 games now up for him. How do you sum it up in his first 50 games? Overall record: 27 wins, 14 draws, 9 defeats, 25 clean sheets. We scored 83 goals, conceded only 36. Yeah, how would you sum it up?
Exciting. It really is. When you look like in half the games we've played, we've kept a clean sheet. I mean, I don't think there's any other Ipswich manager can say that in their first 50 games. But it's just, I remember when he was first appointed, everyone was like, who's this? Who's this guy? No one knew of him. But I think that was the beauty of it. Like, we've tried, I tried and tested, I wouldn't say journeyman, but like Lambert, Cook, Jewell, managers who have a track record of promotions, and they've come to town and not really done much. McKenna, he's just, what's the word I'm looking for? He's just different. And like when he speaks to you in interviews, he doesn't speak to you like you're an idiot. He tells you as it is. And like, he's just, the football we play, all right, it wasn't, but a few off days, but like some of the foot we've played in them 50 games has been brilliant. I mean, remember his first away game at Gillingham? I know Gillingham were pretty poor that day, but we just ran the game. And we just pass, movement. It's like, I've never seen an Ipswich side really do this, apart sort of similar to when George Burley took over as manager. But yeah, it's just everything about him as well. He's always so calm. Like, if we win, he's like, yeah, it's fine. If we lose, yeah, we can work on this. If we draw, whatever. Like, unlike us fans, but like myself, the Fleetwood game, blooming hell, I was a right miserable little so-and-so. But when you look back at it, 1-1 was a fair result. But like McKenna just stays on that level playing field. And he doesn't talk players up too much, doesn't talk them down, doesn't belittle them. Like, he doesn't come into an interview and said, well, it's his fault we lost or his fault we conceded. It was like, we need to do better as a team, or we can still improve as a team. Like young Cam Humphreys. Like, he's always praising him up. He's not praising up too much. Then you hear, I think he has an influence on players as well. Could you hear Cameron Humphreys come out and say, not like, oh, I've made it. The manager's praising him. He's like, yeah, it's nice, but I can still improve as a player. And he has improved players as well. Like, you look at Kyle Edwards. Like, he started last season, he still is a bit of like a diamond in the rough. He's still got stuff to work on, but you can tell that they've worked on stuff in training and he's getting an end product, like getting goals and assists. So yeah, overall, I'm just really, really encouraged. And like, even this season, we're still averaging over 2 points a game. That is promotion form, touch wood. If we can keep this up, I think it will become a case of it will be maybe not another, if we keep him for the 100, 150 games, it will be, can we keep hold of him? Because bigger clubs will come sniffing. Because he is a special talent, in my opinion, and I'm very happy to call him our manager. I haven't rambled on too long there, but no. I love the football we're playing, and I love the way Kieran McKenna treats the fans as people and not idiots who pay their money like we have been treated by other managers in the past.
Yeah, well said, my friend. And he dress well as well, doesn't he, Kieran McKenna? He's got some nice coats, got some nice jumpers.
Yes.
And I'm sure he smells nice as well. I'm sure. I've been next to Kieran McKenna a few times, but I can't remember what he smelled like, but I'm sure he smells nice. But yeah.
Well, next time Harvey's in the corporate, we'll get him to have a sniff.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Sniff Harvey, yeah.
I'll volunteer. Quite happily. I'll volunteer.
I like it, boys. Well, Harvey, Stu put a great story out today looking at the stats under Kieran McKenna. And one of the stats is the players who have made the most starts. And Janoy Donashian has made the most starts under Kieran McKenna, 44 in total. Walton, 43, which is probably not surprising, he's a goalie. Wolfenden is 41. And we all know the story, Luke Wolfenden, which is just fantastic. Morsey, 40. I'm sure he would have been top of that list if he didn't have suspensions and stuff, but we know that. And then Wes Burns, 39. How would you sum up them, my friend? 50 games under McKenna. It's been pretty well. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. It's been brilliant. I think when he was appointed, I was really, at the time, quite vocal about how I thought it was time that we went down a different route. There was a lot of clamour at the time. I think I saw quite a lot of Neil Warnock in people on Twitter and that kind of jazz. But I kind of got why people may have said that, but I thought it was time for a change, and it's been proven right. My first choice at the time wasn't McKenna, and I'm happy to say that I really liked the look of Anthony Barry at Chelsea, who I think. Well, I think I've got no idea, but there's rumours. There were rumours that he was interviewed as well as McKenna. How true those rumours are, I'm not too sure. But since he's come in, he's been different class. As soon as he was appointed, my mate from uni, who's a massive United fan, messaged me straight away. And I know he's had some stick from United fans over the years, but then what manager hasn't, in fairness? He messaged me straight away and said, "You've got an unbelievable coach," and that kind of got me a bit more excited straight away because I know how much he follows.
Oh, we
I
lost
told you so.
I'm still there.
No, he's back. Harvey, you're back. It's fine. You had a brief moment there where you were frozen, but looking good. But carry on. Oh no, he's definitely frozen. Oh well, we've lost Harvey for a brief second there, ladies and gentlemen.
While I've lost him, I'll pick up on something like this seems the route that a lot of clubs are doing now, like going for the younger coach who's like, you look at QPR with Beale, who's now gone to Rangers. You got, was it Neil Critchley who went to Blackpool? He's now left there. Clubs seem to be turning their way to these younger coaches, and they're more philosophers of the game. Like McKenna reads and just breathes the game the whole time. He's always looking at other teams and training methods and things like that. And that's what gone are the days of like, there's no respect like Neil Warnock. He might still get a team from maybe like, Mick McCarthy, older coaches. Now it seems a young man's game or younger man's game. So I'll let Harvey continue. I think he's back now.
Yeah, he's back.
Apologies, I think that's
there he is.
That's the dodgy Welsh Wi-Fi. That is. We've only just figured that out here. No, just saying. I remember my mate messaging me at the time and saying how much of a good coach you've got, and it's been proven right. I mean, he's been different class since the moment he walked in the door. We saw the impact he had early on in the Wickham game, in the Gillingham game, and he just fascinates me. And Pete, you mentioned it earlier, the Charlton game. I've never. Well, I have. But I can't remember being that annoyed after a game. I was absolutely livid. Effing and jeffing around my house and all that kind of jazz. And then about 4 or 5 hours later, I kind of calmed down a bit and listened to McKenna's interview, which is 20 minutes, half an hour after the game. And, it's just like, I'm kind of second guessing. Was this interview 20 minutes or was it like 10 minutes ago? Because he is, as Peachy says, he's just so calm. Whatever the result, whatever the performance, he's got such a level head, and I think that's what makes him so successful. And we're so lucky to have him. I listened to the interview he did with Sky Sports with the Sunday Stroll with Ipswich as well, and every interview is the same. He's so grounded. He's focused on the long-term goal. He clearly loves it at Ipswich. It's so obvious to see, which makes me a little bit more confident about him certainly staying in the short term anyway. And yeah, he's been a breath of fresh air, hasn't he? You look at McKenna's interviews compared to, Paul Cook's last one at Barrow before he got sacked. And I know at that time there was some mitigating circumstances. He'd lost his dad, which, the emotions of that, as well as not doing well at Town. But, I think he said things like, as managers haven't got a magic wand, and He said other things in presses like he thought the team had won a competition. And can you ever imagine McKenna saying something like that? He just wouldn't. He's so calm, so measured. So he's been brilliant, and I hope to God he's here for many, many years to come. Because whatever Bristol City fans want to say about Mark Ashton, he's played an absolute blinder there. No doubt about that.
Definitely, yeah. It's mad. It's going to be a year. Next week it'll be a year of Kieran McKenna, and what a year it's been under him. Right then, boys. Good chat there on Kieran McKenna's first 50 games and 1 year. Let's discuss. Of course, it's this time of year where the January transfer window is approaching. Players, of course, we've got a few players out of contract in the summer. And Harvey, you started a debate on Twitter and did a bit of a poll about KVY, Kane Vincent-Young. Out of contract in the summer. Currently, it stands at over 700 votes. 85% saying yes, which I think is probably the correct answer in my point of view. Peachy, bring you in now, my friends. What do you reckon, KVY?
Because I saw Harvey's tweet this morning. I didn't vote in it because I couldn't decide. He's a very good player. He can play right back and left back. And fingers crossed we get promotion, could he make that jump to the Championship? No one knows. And also, it has been also his injury record as well. Be no wrong, he's having a real good run in the team now. And it seems the injuries have gone away. Thinking about that, I would give him another year because I just think he's such a handy player to have around he wouldn't be first choice. So this is if he wants to stay. But he's such a handy player to have because he can play right back, left back, right wing back, left wing back. So he's an ideal option to have on one of our favourite games, Football Manager. He's just that ultimate squad player you need. And I think in some respects, he does deserve another year because he's missed, 2 and a bit years of his Town career. And when we first signed him, before he got injured, he was the informed right back in the League One. That was many seasons ago. But even whenever he gets called upon, he does the job. It reminds me a little bit of Donatian's early career in Ipswich. Like whenever he got called upon, he done the job, then he's at the team the next week. Because obviously Chambers was back, whatever. But with KVY, he never lets us down. I can't really actually think there's been a game where, KVY weren't very good tonight. He didn't do anything right. He's just your solid 7 out of 10. So on that basis, I've sought myself into giving him a new contract. But I'll let the main man, Harvey, who sparked this whole debate.
Yeah, definitely. I want to, before we bring you in, Harvey, just sort of some more info on KVY, of course. Yeah, as Pete said, good squad player, good lad around the group. I'm sure he's an ideal sort of Kieran McKenna player because he is versatile. He's still young, 26. He's made 19 appearances this season, only 1 league start. He's come off the bench a lot this season, but that doesn't hurt when we've got 5 subs to make. So it's good that he's getting game time, but those injuries have impacted him, Harvey. You're on the fence not on the fence. You are on the fence of giving him a contract. Why is that? And sort of expand on it as well.
Yeah, I mean, when he came in, I think it was 400 or 500 grand, wasn't it? We gave him a 4-year deal, which was really uncommon under Evans. It was usually 2 plus 1, wasn't it? So, he started like an absolute train, didn't he? He started really well, and as Peachy says, was really, really unfortunate with injuries. But I mean, touch wood, he's looking really fit. I remember, I think it was Shrewsbury away he played. I'm sure it was that game. Certainly an away game this season that I've seen. I think it was Shrewsbury where he was brilliant. He looked.
That's only start game. That's only start.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? I thought so. And I remember saying to my dad, who was at the game as well, how fit he looked that day. It's the fittest I've probably seen him look in a while. You could see in the summer that he'd worked really hard. As Peachy said, he can cover different positions, which is really, really useful. And McKenna values a lot. You can see that in his recruitment. You look at Don Ball, he can play centre back and centre mid. You look at John Jules, he can play attacking mid striker. Wolfenden stepped into midfield. Greg Lee can play further forward, can play as part of a back five. McKenna really values versatility. Vincent-Young, as we said, can play right back, he can play left back. He also, for 2 games, I think it was last season, when we were more of a back three, played as a right-sided centre-back. So on that basis, I can see us offering him something, even if it just is the 12-month, extension. I get why people. I think I've had some responses to that tweet saying that we need to upgrade, basically. And while I agree with that to a certain extent, are you going to find a better squad player in that position than KVY, who is happy to come in for the odd game? The only thing I will say, and is a little bit of an early hot take here. Peachy says that if he's happy to kind of play second fiddle and that kind of thing. I wouldn't necessarily rule out the possibility of KVY, if he did stay, of him getting a run at first choice in the Championship. And the reason I say that is because I think KVY is at an age, and he's got a little bit more technical ability going forward than Janoi Donacien. I think there's a lot more. He's got a bigger ceiling, Kane Vincent-Young. I think he can improve maybe a little bit more than Donacien can. We know what Donacien does. He's an outstanding defender. He's also improved going forward. I'm certainly not disputing that. But it wouldn't completely shock me to see a situation in the Championship next year where perhaps Donacien is on the bench and second choice for a few games. And, you go higher up the leagues, and it's not so much kind of defending every set piece that's launched into your box. It does get a little bit more technical the higher up you go. And I think in terms of those kind of abilities, KVY does have an advantage over JD. JD has a lot of advantages over KVY, and certainly not disputing that. I love him as a player, but I wouldn't rule out KVY if he has a good pre-season. If he does stay, then him nailing that first choice right back slot in the Championship. I could be completely wrong, but in terms of technical ability and that kind of qualities that you need in the league above, I could see that definitely. So to give you an extremely long-winded answer, I mean, I said in my tweet, I'd definitely keep him. Yeah, I'd look for him to stay.
Yeah, just to quickly clarify. Sorry, Peach, go ahead.
Before his injury, he definitely had the potential, didn't he?
Definitely, yeah.
And I remember the COVID season, he was going to be the saviour when he returned at right back. So
yeah,
I'll say I agree. That's a great point you've made about he could potentially be, if and when we're in the Championship next season, he could be our starting right back. But if anyone ever wants a good debate or questions, just give Harvey a follow on Twitter. Always got a good question to put out there. Absolutely brilliant.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. And yeah, just to quickly clarify, so he's made only one league start, but of course he has started in the Pizza Trophy games and the FA Cup as well. I'm sure he's going to be our main FA Cup boy. I'm sure he'll start against Rotherham and then going for that. And yeah, Harvey put out there, we're going to be playing Championship football next year. So yeah, thanks, Harvey. Look forward to that. See KVY starting for the hot take of all hot takes. We shall see. Let us know.
Pressure's on now if you don't make it, isn't it? Bloody hell.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to just earmark it. 8th of December 2022 is when Harvey said we're playing Championship football next season. Love it. Well, boys, let's talk about the strike. Let's bring it in. It's Peachy versus Harvey going head-to-head. Who will have the crown this week? 4 questions plus tiebreaker if needed, but we'll use it anyway because why not? Let me just clarify that I've got all the questions sorted. Yes, I have, and I haven't put the answers on, as always. Of course, play at home. Always good to get you guys involved, wherever you are listening from. I know we've got a lot overseas, so shout out to all the overseas listeners. Hope you enjoy the strike as well. Our little funny game every week. Okay, first question is on good old Frank Yallop. Congratulations to Frank, of course, recently inducted into the Club's Hall of Fame. Now, big question. What is Frank Yallop's middle name? Big one here. Is it Archie, Russell, or Walter? As you can see, he's got I wouldn't say old last name, but as you can see, the 3 names there, they are pretty old in terms of, fun fact, my granddad is called Russell. So does that swing your way to, be the answer? We'll see. It's up to you if you want to fall into that trap. But we'll see. Peachy, Harvey, what are you saying?
I've gone for Walter. I haven't got a clue.
I went for Russell.
Fair play. And you wrote that down before I said about my granddad.
I did.
One of you is correct, and I'm sorry to say, Harvey, it's Walter. Frank Walter Yallop. Here's his full name.
No idea.
Just sounded more Canadian to me. That's why I went for it.
Yes. That's a good. I should have typed in and Googled Canadian names, and I could have got some more Canadian sort of references.
Thinking outside the box, that is.
Yep.
Yeah, but I was pretty lazy. I just typed in old names.
Or just lucky, I'd say.
Yeah, that as well. That as well. Question 2 is on a man who celebrates his birthday this month. Is Jason Dozzell. How many goals did he score for Town in 416 games? Of course, scored on his debut. Of course, a very young Jason then, 16, was just still at high school. Of course, that record got broke by Connor Wickham back in when he broke through. But Jason Dozzell, of course, one of the youngest goal scorers at that time. But 416 games, of course, during his 2 spells. I think the second spell, was very brief. But yeah. Of course, very much before. Most of the times, I know, Peachy, you probably saw a little bit of Jason, maybe a little bit, tiny bit. But,
little bit.
Yeah.
And when he came back and scored against us, playing for Tottenham as well.
Yes, and celebrated like a madman.
And my dad called him a very rude word that day.
Yes, I can imagine.
I won't repeat it.
No.
I think I'm totally out here, but...
It's fine. Well, take it away, boys. What do you reckon? Of course, closest gets correct point. And of course, if you get it bang on, you get 2 points. So Harvey, an opportunity for you to take the lead.
98.
Peachy's gone 98. Harvey's gone.
I was similar-ish. I went 92.
92.
Do
No one's got it bang on, but Harvey is the closest because it's actually only 73 goals in 416 games, Jason Dozzell, which isn't a bad return for a midfielder. I know he's an attacking midfielder as well, but I think, 73 goals, 416 games, not too shabby.
I was speaking to... Just quickly, while I remember, I was speaking to John Walk in that Bobby Robson suite, and I didn't realise he'd scored. Was it 36 goals from midfield one season, which was just
UEFA Cup season. Yeah,
and he said to me that he was as a defensive midfielder as well, and he just 36 goals. I mean, can you imagine Cole Scouse scoring 36 goals in one season?
He scored in every round, didn't he? Was that a season? Every round, all the way to the final, and even in the final.
Mad. Just
bonkers.
Will never happen again. But yeah, legend of the football club, John Walk. And that ties ties nicely to the next question. It is on John Walk, unfortunately. And it is on someone, no one, not even close to John Walk's legendary status, but a player who plays for Peterborough now, but he's a former Town player, Jack Marriott, of course. We make his return with Posh this weekend at Pawn Road. Now, what shirt number did Jack Marriott wear during his time at Town? Was it 30, 34, or 40? And Peachy's straight on it. He loves these squad numbers, but I know Harvey likes it as well.
Yeah,
so,
Harvey will know.
I don't know. You never know. 30, 34, or 40. Altogether, he made like 4 appearances, Jack Marriott, and of course he went on to score goals for Luton, Peterborough, Derby, and all that. What do you reckon then, boys? What are you going for?
I went for 34.
I also went for 34.
He is correct. It's 34. So it's 2-2. Desmond going into the final question. And this man celebrates his birthday this month and also scored against Peterborough. His first ever Town goal was against Peterborough in a 3-2 win, which is actually only our second ever win against them. We've only beaten them twice in 16 meetings, by the way, against Peterborough, which is madness. But he scored a late winner against them. Aaron Cresswell. How many goals did he score for Town in 138 games? So, he scored his first Town goal against Peterborough. How many goals did he score after that? So, you got 1 there for you. How many more goals did he score? Of course, he scored a few. Absolute crackers. Crystal Palace, so that's 2 for you. How many other more goals did he score for the club? 138 games altogether. How many goals? So, closest wins it. If you get it bang on, you get 2 points and you win by 2 points. Let me just going to double check the answer just to make sure I don't play any silly buggers here. We need to make sure we have the correct answer so the correct man gets the correct result. So, okay, got up. Nice. All right, we'll start with Peachy first of all. What do you reckon?
I went 4.
4. Harvey.
Oh, God. if that's the case, then I'm well off. I went for 11 because I was just thinking of free kicks and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Just going to double check. So the correct answer, just doing the maths here, is 7. So Peachy has won by a point.
I can't
That's
remember
quick
scoring
maths,
that
that
many.
Ross. Fair play.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, quick maths there. But yeah, he scored 1 goal in his first season, 4 goals in his second season, and his final season he just scored 2 goals. But yeah, he scored, of course, that great goal.
Thought I overacted that a little bit.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's the only one I remember. Is that Palace one?
Yeah.
I can't remember scoring the goals.
Let me try to find the other goals while we think about it. But yeah, what a player he was, boys. What a player, and
What a player. Yeah.
The amount of times he has now. Other goal, Bristol Rovers in the cup. Scored against Brighton. No, Barnsley. Scored in a game against Barnsley. Scored against Wolves in a 2-0 win at Molineux. Of course, the Palace goal. And then he also scored, the 2013-14 season, of course, season he left. He also scored, loads. He got a goal against Yeovil Town in the 2-1 win. And then also against Derby in that 4-4 draw, which we were 4-1 up. And
the Steve McLaren game.
Yeah, Steve McLaren game. So yeah. I know.
Did all right for left backs, didn't we? We were really blessed with left backs, considering we went from Cresswell to Mings and then Jonas Knudsen.
He weren't too bad.
He was all right.
But then we had a period when we didn't have any good left backs, and now we've got Leif Davies and Greg Lee as a backup, which is very good indeed.
Again, much better for League One.
Yes, can't get better than League One for them 2 players. PC, we're going to do it anyway, aren't we? You have 1 overall, but Harvey just asking it bang on to take the crown. Now, this man celebrates his birthday this month, and it's going to be interesting to see how many goals. Billy Clark, the Irish Billy Clark, with the E, because we have another Billy Clark. How many goals did he score for Town in 55 games? But yeah, he celebrates his birthday this month. Good old Billy, of course, part of the Youth Cup winning squad. Of course, played 55 games. Striker, midfielder, striker. I said that already. Winger, I mean. But yeah, 55 games. How many goals do you reckon then, boys?
He had a bit of a purple patch when he first got into the team, didn't he? He scored quite a few, I think, if I remember rightly.
We'll find out. We'll find out. We're just going to get the answer up. Okay, nice. Of course, a little stat here. 23 starts, 33 sub-appearances, which is just, that is crazy, isn't it? Well, Harvey, as you are needing to win, what are you going for, my son?
Again, a complete guess, really. I do remember him going on a bit of a purple patch, but I can't recall him scoring kind of every week. So I've gone for 14.
14. Okay, Peachy?
I've gone for 10.
Well, these are the goals he scored. His first goal was in a Carling Cup game against Peterborough. Sort of ties in nicely. In a 2-2 draw. Then his next goal was against Southampton in a 2-1 win. Then he scored against Coventry in a 2-1 win. And then his final goal for the club was against Southend in a 3-1 win. So only 4 goals in 55 games. So good old Billy.
Wow. God, I thought it was more than that.
Yeah, same here.
To be fair, that purple patch, he did score 3 goals in 4 games there. So he did have a purple patch for a second there, but just for that 3 goals in those 4 games.
And then just gave up after that.
Yeah, pretty much. So Peachy had one again, the strike. My friend, take it away.
It's good to keep my crown for another fan social, but I know there's people out there who want this crown because everyone wants to be known as the strike man. Let's be honest, I go to work the next day and go, "Well, the strike ended, the lads," and they're like, "What? We don't care," but I care, so that's all that matters.
I demand a recount. That's all I'm going to say. Been fixed. This has been fixed, Trump style.
I have no response to that. I'm just here to just be the quiz master.
The silence says it all, Ross. Listen, I was 10 minutes late. You swapped bank details, and that 20 quid went in your bank pretty quickly, didn't it? I know. Don't worry.
30 actually. 30 actually.
I've got a price, mate, and that price is high. Definitely when the strike comes into play. All right then, boys. Well, hope you enjoyed another session of Strike. I hope all the listeners have enjoyed as well. Hope you played at home and got some of the answers correct. If you got them all correct, then well done. Well done. Now let's talk then about Sone Aluko. I'm still saying that. I'm sorry. Ever since we got corrected to say his name correctly, Sone Aluko. He's back in full training, lads, and he's set to return this weekend. He'll be on the bench most likely. Oh, you never know. May start. You never know. But Peachy, he's been a massive miss. I'm sure even just in the dressing room, I know he's probably been at the training ground, probably been around the place, but he's probably been a big miss in that dressing room. But yeah, how big of a miss has he been?
A lot bigger than I thought he would be, actually. I'll be honest. Like, I know what a talented player Sean he is. But when he went down injured against Northampton, he knew it was a bad one, but he thought, we've got the squad depth here, we'll be fine. You know, we'll miss him, but not as much as you think we will. But like, it's just for him, when he plays, he can just control midfields. Like, he gets the ball, he stops it, he slows the play down when we need to slow it down, he quickens it up. I mean, people go on, he doesn't assist, doesn't score. Football is bigger than just assists and goals in some respects. So what a player can do. I firmly believe if he came on against Charlton, we probably wouldn't have lost that. Drawn that, sorry. I think he'd have come on against Fleetwood and it helped the ball, because against Fleetwood, the ball was not sticking. It was going forward, coming straight back at us. With Aluko there, he holds the ball up again, brings other people into play and just sees games out. But yeah, it'll be great to have him back. Because he's been a massive, massive miss. I think McKenna said in his press conference, was it today, he can do things other players can't. I know for fact my wife will be very, very happy because Shawnee is her favourite player, absolutely loves him, even more than Fred Ladapo. She loves him as well. But yeah, it's just, he's a bigger miss than I thought it would be. And I remember even when we signed him, I was thinking, a bit of a squad filler really when we build a new squad. But he's a massive part of this team because his experience, you can't buy his experience. And hopefully, like I say, he's on the bench. I'll be surprised if he starts. But then I think under McKenna, when it says a player's back in training, they're sort of match fit because we know how intense the training sessions are. It's not like the past where they're back in training or they need a under 21, under 23s game, need 10 minutes here. So I think he'll be up to speed. He'll just be lacking slight little bit of match fitness, if that makes sense. But it's going to be brilliant to have him back because he's a key part of this season now, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I put him down as the MVP this season, and then he got injured in like the last week of August. I thought, oh god, I've jinxed him, and I. But he's back, Harvey, and I'm sure for this second half of the season, he's going to be a key player. And as Peter said, he would have been perfect for the Fleetwood game, the Charlton game, and those sort of games where you need to bring him on just to settle the team down, keep holding the ball pretty much. So yeah, how big is it for him returning?
Yeah, I have to hold my hands up. I think I did a video with you. I think it was Ben prior to the season finishing, where we were discussing who we'd get rid of and who we'd keep. And I think me and Ben both said that we'd let Aluko go. I was far too kind of stat obsessed, I think, with his output, but Peachy is absolutely spot on. What he does in games is so valuable. You mentioned a few games there. I'd throw Sheffield Wednesday away in that as well. I think we were getting overrun by Bannon and Byers in midfield. I said at the time I wouldn't have brought Kia on. I would have brought a Ball or a Aluko on if Aluko was there that day, and he would have been perfect. He's so good at keeping the ball in tight areas. You don't ever see him giving the ball away really cheaply or anything like that. So yeah, he's a really, really important player, a really good person to have around the group as well. McKenna has said that multiple times how good it is to have him around. And I think although his option was automatically triggered in the end, wasn't it, last season, based on his appearances, I think he would have signed for another 12 months anyway. And I wouldn't completely rule out him signing for another 12 months if we go up either. Obviously, he's not going to play every week, but someone to have around and to be that kind of classy player when we need it. He's going to be brilliant. I think it's interesting that McKenna said we'll see whether he's fit to start or or to come off the bench, to not rule out starting someone after being out for 3 or 4 months kind of shows you how fit McKenna sees him in training, because he probably won't start, let's be honest, but for McKenna to say that, he's clearly in good shape. And yeah, I love him in that number 10 role. I have to be honest. I think he's not necessarily got the legs to play out wide these days, which I think McKenna sees and knows what he can do from an attacking midfield position. I think in the game early on, I think the Gillingham game where we played with 2 strikers and 3 centre backs, and Aluko was behind the 2. I think he was brilliant that day, wasn't he? Sure, the Burton away game where we won as well, it was exactly the same formation, and he was brilliant that day as well. So, yeah, he's a really, really important player. Someone who, as Peachy said, came in and we all thought, yeah, good for squad depth, but isn't going to start every week. But now, I completely agree. We've missed him a lot in the last few months, and it's going to be invaluable to have him back. He's going to be straight into the thick of it, and I think that's what he wants. Aluko, he wants to get straight back in there and help the team. And he's, as has been mentioned already, he offers qualities that possibly the likes of Kyle Edwards have in terms of really, keeping the ball in tight spaces is really impressive. But Aluko kind of brings that to a next level in League One. So, yeah, brilliant to have him back. I'm sure he'll improve the team a lot in a position where, let's be honest, at the moment we've only got Colin Chaplin. So the more competition there, the better.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, as you know, a lot of the viewers know, when you get the age of 30, goodbye. But players like, Sone Aluko, Sam Morsey, Sone Aluko is going to be 34 in February, but you can't buy experience, can you? And he brings that. And so I'm sort of changing my little thing about that now, but it depends. What Richard Keogh, once again, he's very much at the end of his career, but can't hurt with a little bit of experience, lads. Well, let's get into then Peterborough this weekend in League One. Of course, 12:30 kick-off because there's another game apparently later on. Big game, of course. England playing France in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. But yeah, Peterborough 6th in League One. Grant McCann in charge. They lost their last 3 games. Only 2 away wins all season for them. How are you feeling, Peachy, going into this one? With, as I said, the stat against them is not great for us since we last played them. Definitely in League One, we've had some bad games against them, especially that 4-1 defeat. And in 16 games we've played against them in all competitions, we've only ever won twice, which is not great, really. No. But what do you reckon, mate?
We're due a win, surely, aren't we? Yeah. Oh, you look at all them stats, you'd hope. But then this is Ipswich Town. Well, without the negative side of it, always goes like, well, they've not won in 3. It's about time they won, isn't it? But no, I think it'll be a tough game, like every game in League One will be. But it's interesting, the comments from their chairman on one of the podcasts. I've not listened to it, but he sort of said they're all spoiled. I think someone put in our group chat, I can't remember who it was, so I apologise. But it's like they're either going to come out and give it that absolute all and be like a massive middle finger saying, we do care, or it's going to be, we're just going to win. They're just going to down tools and go, sod you. But I was looking at some of their squad. I worry about their front players. Like you've got Clark Harris, Marriott. Mason Clark is always quite good. Ricky J. Jones. Our defence has got to be on it, to be honest. But after the Fleetwood game, I said the team needed to kick up the backside. They didn't. That was more frustration on my part. If we play like we did against Exeter, played like we did first half against Fleetwood, we'll be fine. Because I think if we can get a goal against them, the heads will drop. So as always we say, the crucial thing is get the early goal. But my hot takes for this game is linked to the England game as well. That both games we won 2-0 by Ipswich and England. But the first goal will not be scored until the 80th minute or after.
Okay.
There's me saying we need the early goal. But that's just my little hot take. Contradict myself as always, but that's the dream, isn't it, for Ipswich? Offence, Harvey. An Ipswich win and an England win. That's the perfect Saturday.
Yes,
for me.
Is. Well, that is always the question. A lot of people, what would you rather have, an England win or an England, win? Of course, you want both of them to win. Of course, not Harvey because he's well connections, but won't get into that. Well, let's not get into that, Harvey. Let's not even start that debate and everything.
Not worth it. Not worth it.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. That's a whole different podcast. Well, what is your hot takes for this game, mate? And your just overall feeling taking on Peterborough? It's another sort of one of those monkeys get off our back. We've been able to get a lot of those off our back, but Peterborough is just that team. We just need to beat because we haven't been able to do it in League One.
Yeah, Mbappe hat-trick in 30 minutes. No, I'm joking. It's going to be a really interesting game. It's been, their camp has been dominated, really, as Peachy says, by their chairman's comments this week. It's a podcast I listen to every week, really. It's a really good podcast, to be honest with you. It's a good listen because you never know what you're going to get from their chairman. And this week was really... Well, the proof is in the pudding. He absolutely laid into them and said, we were out-coached. We looked like we weren't interested. It's about time that I stopped spending $5,000 a room on players for fancy hotels and away trips. Maybe they should make their own way up. And it was just, it was like, I thought it was like a parody podcast because it was bonkers. But yeah, actually, it wasn't me that said about. I thought it was myself that made the comment that they're either going to turn up or they're not going to turn up. But it's spot on. I think it was Brad possibly. But it's going to be interesting. They've got some good players. Grant McCann recruited all summer for a 4-3-3 that he's played at pretty much every team he's been at. They ditched it after one game and went 3 at the back, which was working really well, and then they ditched that because it started going really badly again. They've gone back to 4-3-3 because they've got about 10 wingers and realised we need to put all of them in a team, and now they've lost 3 on the bounce again. So it's really difficult to see what system and how they're gonna line up. On Saturday they were back to a back 4 against Barnsley, but obviously lost that. So to me, Grant McCann's got no idea what his best team is. He's got no idea what his best system is with the players that he's got at his disposal. It's there for the taking for us. It really is. As Peachy says, we have to be mindful of the likes of, obviously, of Clark Harris, but not only him, they've got Jack Taylor in midfield, who we were linked with really early on in the summer, who's a really good player. They've got Harrison Burrows, who is usually a left wing back, but has been in midfield recently and is another really good player. The lad Clark on the wing, they got from Barnet in the summer, a really exciting talent. So they've got some good players, there's no doubt about that, but something isn't clicking for them at the moment. And when you look at their away record, it's one of the worst in the league. It's genuinely abysmal. So if we can really get behind the lads first 5-10 minutes, get a quick start like we did against Fleetwood, and actually build on that, it's going to be a long way back for them because, even subconsciously, if you're 1-0, 2-0 down inside 20 minutes at Portman Road in front of 25,000 fans, subconsciously you're probably going to be thinking, of what the chairman said midweek and what he thinks about you. So if he's saying that, why should I bother and that kind of thing? They're obviously not going to purposely do that, but your subconscious, they probably will. So I think we'll win it, and my hot take is along those lines. I think Ipswich are going to win, and we're going to be 2-0 up at half-time. There is my very, very bold prediction. But you've got to be positive, haven't you? But yeah, it's going to be a good game. Fingers crossed. We've not, the team kind of picks itself at the moment, doesn't it? So there's not going to be that many drastic changes in the side. But I'm confident we get a good result. I think Caden Jackson is a player that Peterborough tried to sign 4 or 5 times, I think, over his career. So I'm fancying Caden Jackson to grab a goal in this game. I really am, just to rub salt in the wounds of their chairman even more.
So what's your final prediction then? Because Kane Jackson starting for you then? If you've got 2-0 half-time, that is your final score.
Yeah, I would start Jackson. Yeah, I would start Jackson. Now, to be honest with you, I put it out before the Fleetwood game. I would have started him there as well. On that left-hand side, I think Edwards looked absolutely knackered within about 10-15 minutes of that Fleetwood game, which I thought was a bit strange. Whether that's just because he's not used to playing so many games back to back, possibly. Might not just be a fitness thing. But yeah, I'd start Jackson for this game on the left hand side. I'd bring Edwards off on the bench, and yeah, I fancy Jackson to to score for this one. Definitely, if he starts. 2-0.
2-0. Peachy, you're coming in there for a second. Take it away.
I was going to say, like, with the Peterborough chairman, he's very Marmite with some people. I like him, but then I wouldn't want him as chairman of Ipswich.
I completely agree. Yeah,
I think he's a bit too open. But I'm not criticising him because it's nice for me as a fan of another club seeing how open he is about Peterborough. And he gives all the inner workings of like deals sometimes. And then he comes on a rant like he has this week. And you think, bloody hell, that's Channel Football Club saying that. I mean, some fans might be thinking it. Let's face it. Cause he's more of he talks more like a fan than a chairman. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah. He's come out a few weeks ago and said that he's not. This season will be the end of his association with the club, and he's done, and he needs to focus on his family. And then the last pod, a few kind of abject results, and I think your pride starts hitting you because he said in the last pod that that's not happening. I'm staying. I couldn't live without football and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit of uncertainty to the players, to the fans as well, which I completely agree with Peachy. It's brilliant to listen to as a neutral, but it's not, I wouldn't want him chairman.
Of course, it's a controversial topic for us because they beat us to the Football Content Awards. So, although they came second, it was under the Koshu one, but they came second or whatever. So, but yeah, they are rivals, but yeah.
Listen, we need to be a bit more controversial. Stu started it by nearly setting his house on fire. So let's see what we can do to raise a bit more attention.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Sorry I didn't interject there. I just thought, I just think this podcast would beat us to second place. But yeah, don't worry. We're always the bridesmaids, not the groom and all that. Sorry, I'm just I don't know where I'm going with this, to be honest. Peachy, Harvey, let's just sort of talk about any other business you want to add, any other notes.
I just hope, and it's not a criticism of the supporters, but I just hope the atmosphere is a little bit more better and upbeat. Because I think like sometimes I'm guilty of it as well. We expect to come up against teams like Cheltenham and Fleetwood. We expect, we're going to win this. And then, but the atmosphere is not the greatest. I think Mike mentioned it on game day as well about the Fleetwood game. Let's hope the crowd are up for it as well against Peterborough because it's a big game. The lads need us. And again, that's not a criticism of the atmosphere at Portman Road because I think the atmosphere the last few seasons has been brilliant. New songs, it's getting loud. We're getting more fans in the stadium. I just hope everyone's up for it on Saturday because let's face it, we're going to need to keep warm because it's going to be bloody freezing.
It is going to be very cold. Of course, the 12:30 kickoff. I think it's probably going to be 26,000 probably in there. I'm sure Peterborough will bring a decent number as well. It is going to be, hopefully a nice warm atmosphere because it's going to be absolutely freezing, which is a standard thing. But Harvey, any other business, my friend?
No, not really. It's funny Pete used to say that, actually. I feel like I don't really have a right to comment considering the lack of Portman Road games I go to, so I don't have a big kind of, I don't have a massive scope to go off. But I didn't actually watch the game day after because we ended up like getting too drunk and then, anyway. But I said the same to my dad. I thought Portman Road was a little bit flat. I don't know whether evening games do that. Possibly there is something special about Saturday at 3:00, isn't there? It didn't help that it wasn't the best performance. But yeah, I thought it was a little bit flat at Fleetwood. So at the same time that the players have got to give the fans something to be excited about, and at Bolton the first game of the season, it was unbelievable. So I'm sure it was just one of those nights. But yeah, fingers crossed we can get a good result. Let's get behind the boys first 5-10 minutes again. Let's get a really good start. Keep the songs coming and all that jazz, and just Merry Christmas to everyone and a very Happy New Year because I probably won't be on now until the New Year. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for having me on again, Ross, this year. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to many more pods and many more everything basically with you all. It's been a real pleasure.
What a lovely boy he is, isn't he, Peachy? What a lovely man.
He is lovely.
I try. It's that Welsh twang that I don't have in my voice.
Yeah.
Hence why he is called the Sweet Welsh Prince.
Apparently so.
Friend of the show. Love it. Peachy, I've already gone to you already about any other business, but take it away. How would you want to outro yourself?
I can't beat that. Let's put it that way. But yeah. Also, again, I'm not criticising the crowd at Ipswich because I never would, because I'm obviously one of them, and I'll try and be a bit more happy and positive for game day. Hopefully on Saturday. Fingers crossed for the 2-0 win. First goal, 80th minute. Second goal, 89th.
Very good. Very
Part
good.
of my hot take. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
And
too
of
bad.
course,
A hot take.
Up the town.
Up the town, definitely. I was want to quickly end with some predictions from the KOA Army in the group chat we have. A lot of town wins, some defeats, but I think they're just being controversial just to mix it up a little bit. But we've got a 4-2 from Brad, a 4-0 from Bono. George has gone for a Desmond. That'll be pretty good. I've gone 3-2, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I want to see goals, and hopefully we will see goals. A 3-2 town win. Some 3-1s for town, 2-1 win from good old Liam from Crew. Good old John Watson, King of North. He's also gone 2-1. I won't say the ones who have gone for defeats, but I think they've just made it just to bring a bit of jeopardy to the prediction league. Currently, Steve, good old Steve from Devon, he's currently top. Peachy, you're second, 1 point away from Steve. Of course, last week for the Fleetwood game, no one got points because I think we all went for wins. So, yeah, it was a draw, but I won't talk about Fleetwood anymore. But thanks everyone for listening. Hope you've enjoyed another edition of the Kings of Anglia Fans Social. Peachy, Harvey, always a pleasure. Of course, big shout out to our sponsors. Manscaped, first of all, use 20% off. Use the code KOA to get 20% off and free delivery at manscaped.com. And also, of course, Ginger Pickle, the goats of marketing for all your needs there. If you go into the game, enjoy. If you're not, make sure to cover the game. No, what's...
Are you just trying to stretch this to an hour, Ross? Because I noticed we're at 58 and a half minutes.
Yeah,
I feel like you're
really.
trying to get this to a round number here.
Not really. I was trying to be smooth, but as you all know, I'm not smooth. I was trying to say, if you're going to the game, enjoy. But if you're not, make sure to follow the game with us on all the socials, on the website, on game day, and in Stu React. And of course, we'll be back next week for another main pod, another fan social, all the other bits and bobs. Enjoy the game. Come on, England. Come on, town. All that sort of bits and bobs. Goodbye for now.